Hi there, welcome to TechEd 2020. My name is Kiril Gavrailov and I'm product manager with SAP. So today we're going to talk about what happens once we deploy our application on SAP Cloud Platform. Normally, if you think about it, what we do normally is to think about how we are going to manage our deployments, how we are going to manage our pipeline, and so on and so forth. And once we go productive, there is a whole new universe of problems, needs, challenges that appears in front of us. And I'm going to talk exactly about these things and, of course, their solutions. For this purpose, I'm going to use an example to explain you better. Let's imagine that we're having a SAP Cloud Platform-based solution. It normally consists of multiple microservices. Those microservices can use multiple databases, and most probably they're going to use some backing services, either provided by SAP, like Cloud Platform integration, like mobile services, or provided by IaaS providers, services like MongoDB, Redis, and so on and so forth. So this is quite a complex picture, and what happens is that we have quite complex needs to handle it. First, let's start with the most common thing. We have the need to detect problems and understand about problems, because many things can go wrong. For example, our microservices can crash, or our database can crash for some reason, or our backing services might be unavailable, or something that we cannot do much about it, but it's there. We might have some network outage along the way. So for all of these, we need the proper means to understand about, and the proper people, skilled people to fix those problems. And this is our second need, the people with proper experience and skills to operate and keep this solution up and running. We call these folks operators. There are different terms about the operators. You might have heard about site reliability engineers, you might have heard about DevOps teams. I'm going to stick to the operator term. So the term the operators, their main goal is to keep the system up and running. How they achieve this? Well, through three distinct things. First, they need to have the proper mindset of how to operate a cloud system. They have to have the proper processes in place, and of course, they need the proper tools. What does the proper processes mean in this case? Well, they most commonly define the so-called recommended actions. For example, if my database goes down, what I need to do is to, let's say, log a ticket, collect some root cause analysis information such as logs, monitoring data, and so on and so forth, then update this ticket, then restart my database, and finally fix the issue. So here we have some well-defined process which helps me to recover my database from problems. And once they have these processes in mind and mindset in place, they need to automate the processes, because after all, we don't want to do manual work on our complex cloud solution, because at one point of time it becomes way too time consuming. So this is the need that I'm going to address. The SAP Cloud Platform Automation Pilot helps you to automate your daily, day-to-day operational tasks on SAP Cloud Platform. How this happens? Well, I'm going to explain you first the main terms, and then I'm going to drill down a little bit into the scenarios that Automation Pilot supports. Automation Pilot, as I said, helps you automate operations, firstly by providing you with a automation content. This content we call commands. The commands, you can imagine them as very simple programs. Every command has an input, does something with your solution on Cloud Platform, and then it produces an output. These commands are out of the box provided for you, so you don't have to know the platform well in order to use them. And we constantly extend them based on customer feedback. The second important thing that Automation Pilot provides you with is that it allows you to change this command into even more complex sequences. So if you don't find a scenario in the provided content, you can develop your own without coding anything. These sequences might be very complex. We have some nice perks like repetitions, resilience, and so on and so forth. So basically you can achieve very, very complex scenarios. I have seen scenarios with up to 90 subsequent steps designed by somebody. The other important perk that Automation Pilot provides you is the execution flows. So Automation Pilot can execute this automation content for you. There are three different ways to do this. First is, of course, by clicking a button. Second is to schedule an execution. And third is to trigger an execution based on a given event. I will stop a little bit in those in a second. The fourth important thing is the different levels of control. We provide you with commands on a very low level. So for example, if you're having some ready-made scripts like Python, Shell, Node.js, or Perl, you can delegate the execution of those scripts to Automation Pilot, and you can work on low level with it. Or if you want to go one level more abstract, there's not a problem. You can use the HTTP request command, which basically allows you to orchestrate multiple HTTP requests one after another. This is one of our most used commands. And last but not least, if you don't want to have knowledge about coding, or you don't want to have knowledge about HTTP protocol, what you can do is to reuse the commands that are provided for you, which handle complex scenarios. For example, here, the database system restart command. It's a multi-step command which helps you to handle a very complex scenario of database restart. It's basically 6 or 7 steps to achieve this. Last but not least, Automation Pilot provides you with easy way to store your data, because after all, we are going to use those automation content in the context of your cloud platform deployment. So most probably you're going to need some credentials, you're going to need some URLs, and so on and so forth. And we support the concept for inputs, which you can share amongst your commands, so you don't have to you can just store it once and then reuse it everywhere. Automation Pilot, as I said, helps you to automate your operations, and it also helps you to plan your operations. How this happens? Well, in two very distinct ways. First, we support decision points. So if I have a long command, I can decide to stop at a given point of time and to wait for human interference there. For example, if I don't want to restart my database immediately, but somebody to say, okay, restart it now or restart it in 1 hour, then this is possible with Automation Pilot. What we observe normally with our users is that they start with multiple breakpoints, let's call them like this, and once they are sure that the process is fully automated and works fine, they remove these manual steps. The other thing for planning that the pilot provides you is scheduling executions. So there is a pretty rich scheduling mechanism where I can schedule things like database update, OS patches, restarts of microservices, and so on and so forth for a given period of time. Besides planning and automating your operations, the pilot also helps you to handle unplanned situations. For example, if something goes wrong and a given event is triggered with your application, Automation Pilot can be triggered automatically via this event to recover your system. It is very well integrated with alert notification service. So if you receive an alert from alert notification service, then you can trigger Automation Pilot to recover the alert that is coming from the cloud platform. By the way, more about alert notification service, Automation Pilot, and other services you can learn in the Dev 100 lecture, where there is a pretty good overview of all DevOps services. Now, we have our problem space. We want to automate everything related with operations with ease. We have our tools in our hands. This is the Automation Pilot with which I can achieve a lot of things. And now let's see how we can do this. There are 3 distinct use cases where you can use Automation Pilot. The first one is for your daily operational tasks. For example, you want to reconfigure your application, or you want to apply an OS patch. You can define those as commands and automation content in Automation Pilot, and then trigger it either by schedule or manually by hand. The second, the alert remediation scenario, which, by the way, we are going to see a demo in a while of. This is very important scenario and gives you the opportunity to automatically recover your applications via alerts. If you use alert notification service, it's easier, but however, we support also all other alerting systems out there, like Dynatrace, Catchpoint, and so on and so forth. So once the alert notification receives an alert, it's gonna send you the alert via a desired channel of yours, and it also can trigger automation power to recover your application automatically. Last but not least, the third scenario is the so-called lifecycle management and hooks, or we also call it SAP Cloud Platform service integration. Imagine that you're using some technical service on the cloud platform, like let's say transport management. You might want, once you execute the transport, you might want to reduce your log severity for 5 minutes just to see if everything is okay, and then you want to increase it back to normal. And this is of course possible with automation pilot. It can hook to your to our SAP Cloud Platform services and execute those for you instead of making it manually. Before jumping to the demo, I want to say that the automation pilot is already generally available. It's available in US and Europe regions, and we are waiting for your feedback. Now, during the demo, we are going to see the middle scenario. I'm going to break an application, and then we're going to see how automation pilot will automatically recover this application for us. The application consists of 8 microservices and more details in the demonstration. So let's see the demo. What I'm having here is a typical cloud platform application. It consists of a couple of microservices. It uses a database, and now I will break this application and will show you how AutoPy is going to recover it. For the purpose, I'm going to Automation Pilot UI. Here what I can see is the provided by SAP catalog, so this content comes out of the box for you, and you can use it as is, or you can extend it and build your own content, as is the case of this demo. Here I have built a couple of commands without any coding, of course. They consist of 3 different commands. The first one is to check the status of my application. It's basically a bunch of steps which verify if my application is up and running. The first step is to check a status endpoint, which I have. And it basically, what it does, I call REST API. In this command, I can do multiple nice things, such as adding conditions, validation, or in this case, I'm making repetitions in order to escape from false positives by repeating the status check 3 times every 10 seconds. Then I have a special health endpoint API, and if my status is okay, I should check if the health point returns 200. And last but not least, I convert the result from up if everything is okay, or down if it is not. So now I'm going to trigger the command, simply give the inputs, which are the password and the user that I need to authenticate in front of Cloud Platform. It takes a couple of seconds. I can see who has triggered the command, and when it is once finished, I can see what it is, its result. So if I click on output values, I will see that my application is up. Now this is the first command that I have built. The second one is the one that restarts all of my Cloud Foundry applications. For the demo purposes, I have used a script here, but you are able to do this via the UI as well. The script is base64 encoded, so I'm going to decode it and to show what it is. And it's basically invoking the Cloud Foundry CLI multiple times in order to restart my application. I will trigger this command, and I will see that my status of all of my apps are currently being restarted. This is just for the sake of testing. It takes a bunch of time because I have 7 microservices which should be restarted. And once this is done, I can see the end result right here. Now I have a third command, which is basically the one that unites the other 2, and it's called recover AVS. The AVS is my application name. What it does, it checks the status of my application before it restarts. It basically takes username, password, and region where my application resides. Then if the status is down, it will trigger the restart that I've just shown you, and then it will check the status once again. And that's all. Now, this is the whole command. It repeats
15 times and it delays 1 minute in order to escape from false positives. The other thing that I have done is the automatic triggering of this command. So it triggers only upon alert arrival. So in this case, I'm going to use the alert notification service. And here I have defined a couple of subscriptions in the alert notification service, which say, if there is a problem, please send me a Slack message. And if there is a problem, please trigger my command and recover it. So once the problem appears, the notifications are going to be sent and the recovery is going to be triggered. I will break my applications, and what I see immediately in my Slack channel is, hello there, we have a problem, your application is down. And in the same thread, what I see here is a message from Automation Pilot which says, don't worry, I know this is down and I'm currently working on it. And if I check the execution here, I'm going to see that it currently restarts my applications. This takes time just to visualize it and see when it was started. I will click here around and refresh a little bit to catch the exact moment. Here it is automatically restarting. And this will happen for all of my microservices. Once the command is done, which will take us a couple of seconds, and I'm going to see the output, it currently checks the status after the restart. It again executes these 3 steps commands that I have. So once this is done, I will see that my application is up and running and it is back to normal. I can check the Slack messages, and what I see here in the same thread is messages from Automation Pilot telling me that the execution has been successfully executed and my application has been successfully recovered and everything is back to normal, my app is up and running, and so on and so forth.
This was the demo. Please feel free to try Automation Pilot out, give us feedback, and of course you can visit the related sessions, the Dev 100, the nice overview of DevOps services on Cloud Platform. Of course, continue your learning experience with TechEd with the interesting sessions around the event and learn more about our services and tools. Thank you for your attention. You've been a wonderful audience.